Hello everyone. I was doing the adventure of the Christmas pudding part 1 scene 2 I had done. Now today I am going to do scene 3. Now this particular scene 3 takes place in the dining room of King's Lacey. If required, just watch the class video 2 of scene 2 before moving on this particular scene. It will be a revision. Let's begin. So where does the scene takes place? The scene takes place in the dining room of King's Lacey. In the background is a large Christmas tree. Michael, Bridget, Diana and David are decorating the room with branches of laurel and holly. Who are holly? Holly are decorative plants that symbolize eternity and everlasting life in Christian tradition. Eternity means, in Bengali, we call it as Amarotto, being Amar ho jana. Okay, everlasting life means unending life. Okay. Now, Colonel Lacey, Mrs. Lacey, Poirot are sitting and listening to the carol singers. Desmond Lee Watley and Sarah are standing a little to the side of the room. Desmond sneering, "I had no idea anything so idiotically archaic still went on." So he is saying, he is just saying this in a very disgusted way, that I just don't like this kind of idiotic old-fashioned Christmas. How can you stand it all is beyond me. So तुम ऐसा कैसे सब सहन कर लेते हो, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं चलता कितना ओल्ड फैशन है ये सब. Aside मतलब, aside means that Monsieur Poirot is saying this loudly but nobody is hearing. This one is said only for the audience. The audience, for audience, Poirot is saying, Desmond Lee Watley wore a fisherman's jersey and a tight black jeans. His hair was long and unkempt, and it seemed doubtful whether he had shaved that morning. Okay, now this is for the audience. Okay, a description of Desmond Lee Watley. Okay, he was wearing a fisherman's jersey, number 1, tight black jeans, number 2, number 3, his hair was long and unkempt means not properly combed, and it seemed doubtful whether he had shaved that morning. That means he had some beard sticking out. Okay, small beard he is having because he hasn't shaved that morning. Now Sarah is saying, "Oh, I rather enjoy it all. Of course it's old fashioned, but it's rather fun, isn't it?" But Sarah likes that old fashioned Christmas, but Desmond doesn't like. Poirot is saying, aside means it is said only for the audience, okay, not for anyone else present on stage. Sarah Lacey seems tense and nervous. Could it have been my presence that made her so ill at ease? Ill at ease means uncomfortable. So Poirot is feeling that Sarah is not comfortable at all. She is uncomfortable, and maybe because a detective is present in the house, that is making her uncomfortable. Now Desmond is saying, "Look, sweetie," Desmond is saying this to Sarah, "Look, sweetie, why don't we sneak off to Market Ledbury and have some fun? यहाँ पे वक्त बर्बाद करके क्या होगा? चलो कुछ देर हम लोग घूम के आए मार्केट लेडबरी पे एंड और कुछ मज़ा करके आए. There's a limit to how much Christmas cheer I can stand. So I just can't withstand this old-fashioned boring Christmas." Sarah is saying, "Oh, I was quite enjoying it all. But why should I go? I was enjoying it all. You must be kidding me. You can't possibly enjoy all this sentimental torch. These are just sentimental torture. How boring everything is. Yes, I suppose it is rather childish of me. We will go if you like. Okay, if you don't like, I am ready to go with you. I do like. I will go get the car. Okay, I am bringing the car. You just get ready." Desmond leaves just as the carol singers finish and are led off stage by Colonel Lacey. Sarah walks up to Mrs. Lacey. You don't mind if Desmond and I go down to Market Ledbury for a while, do you? तुम कुछ माइंड तो नहीं करोगे अगर मैं और डेस्मंड थोड़ा घूम के आए मार्केट लेडबरी से? नो ऑफ कोर्स नॉट डियर. एंड you do like Desmond, don't you? Are you liking Desmond, my boyfriend? I am sure he is really very nice. Sarah is saying grandfather doesn't like him. Well, you could hardly expect him to, could you? But I dare say he will get used to the idea. Okay? अगर डेस्मंड अच्छा इंसान है तो ग्रैंडफादर भी धीरे धीरे उसे लाइट करने लाएंगे. तुम उसके बारे में मत सोचो. Sarah is saying, well, I don't care what grandfather thinks or says. I shall get married to Desmond whenever I like. Whether grandfather gives me the permission or not, I just don't care. I love Desmond and I am going to marry him. Whether grandfather gives me the permission or not. Mrs. Lacey, the grandmother, is saying, I know, dear, I know, but you are not of age for another year. I expect Horace would have come round by then. So, look, you are still immature. Just wait for another year, okay? Till you are 18 years old. I expect Horace would have come round by then. मतलब मुझे लगता है कि तुम्हारे ग्रैंडफादर होरेस एक साल में डेस्मंड को अपना लेंगे. ओके, ही विल एक्सेप्ट डेस्मंड एज हिज मीन्स एज योर हस्बैंड. आई विल डू माई बेस्ट टू होल्ड आउट. ओके, आई विल डू माई बेस्ट टू वेट फॉर अनदर ईयर. यू आर ऑन माई साइड, आंट यू? तुम तो मेरे साथ हो. आई ओनली वॉन्ट यू टू बी हैप्पी. लाइट्स आउट. Now I am finishing scene 4 also in this class video. So I am doing 2 scenes together in this class video, scene 3 and scene 4. Let's begin. Now this particular scene takes place in Poirot's bedroom at King's Lacey. Poirot is talking on the telephone with Mr. Jesmond. Okay, Mr. Jesmond's voice comes from off stage. That means we can't see Mr. Jesmond because he is somewhere else talking on the phone. We can just hear his voice. Mr. Jesmond, Sarah Lacey, but Edwina told me she was a perfectly enchanting girl. So you suspect Sarah Lacey to be the thief. But Edwina told me that she was a very beautiful girl. Poirot saying, even perfectly enchanting girls, Mr. Jesmond, can sometimes go astray. Okay? कभी कभी बहुत अच्छी लड़कियां भी गलत रास्तों पर चल सकती हैं. ओके, समटाइम्स इवन गुड गर्ल्स, ब्यूटीफुल गर्ल्स कैन मूव टू द रॉन्ग पाथ. शी सीम्स कम्प्लीटली इन्फैचुएटेड विथ हिज ली वाटली एंड आई अंडरस्टैंड शी वर्क्स फॉर वन ऑफ द लंडन एम्बेसीज. It would have been very possible for her to make the acquaintance of the prince. And I think that Sarah works in one of the London embassies, so it will be very possible for her to come in close contact with the prince, and she can be the thief. But surely, and there is the fact that the girl came down here completely without warning. Actually in the previous years she didn't spend Christmas with the family, but this year suddenly, without giving any warning, she appeared all of a sudden to spend the Christmas here. So that increases my suspicion. Almost immediately after the ruby was stolen, okay, she arrived in the manor house. But I don't, could you not obtain a photograph of Miss Lacey and show it to the prince? You can just somehow collect a photograph of Miss Sarah Lacey and show it to the prince. The prince will be able to recognize her, and after that, दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा. Everything will be as clear as daylight. That is out of the question, I am afraid. He is staying as a guest at St. Sandringham, do you suspect no one else on shore, Poirot? So I can't do that because the prince is not here. The prince is staying as a guest at Sandringham. So how can I go there and show it to him, the photograph? So do you suspect anyone else? There is this mysterious sister of Desmond Lee Watley. She intrigues me. She increases interest in me about her, I must admit. Why does she insist on remaining in her room? Okay, very well. She is an widow, Desmond's sister. She has had an operation and that's why she stays in her room. Desmond brings all the meals in her room, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and she doesn't come outside at all. This particular thing raises my curiosity. Why doesn't she leave her room? Why does she always remain in her room? But surely he didn't have to drive the girl all the way down to the King's Lacey. She could simply have handed the ruby over to him in London. But how can you say that that particular girl is the thief? Why should she come here? If she had stolen the ruby, then she could have easily handed it over to his brother in London. Why should she come with her brother here at the manor house of the Laceys? Clearly there is something in the business that I do not understand. There is something that is still not clear with me. Surely by now one of these young ladies must have given Lee Watley the ruby. I think one of the ladies by now must have given Lee Watley the ruby. Then why does he remain, particularly with Hercule Poirot in the house? When a famous detective named Hercule Poirot is in the house, why isn't he escaping? Why is he still there in the house when he has already got the ruby? That is also a question. You are hardly a man to pass without notice. Yes, if there is anything fishy, you would have noticed that. You are such a great detective. And there is something else. I have heard the sound of an aeroplane flying low overhead. There must be an airfield close by. It would provide him with an easy means of escape to the continent. So I have seen that aeroplane flies very low here. That means there is a small airfield or airport close by. So that would provide Mr. Lee Watley to escape easily to the continent. Okay. I will see that it is kept under constant surveillance. Okay, I will make sure that that particular airfield, okay, is kept under constant surveillance by the police. The police keeps constant track of that airfield, so that even if Lee Watley tries to escape, he couldn't. And now tell me, how are you enjoying your Christmas, English Christmas? Here scene 4 ends, lights out, means the stage becomes dark. I hope that you have understood scene 3 and scene 4. There is no problem in understanding at all. This much for today.